type verify data handling for missing information. So this will be a scenario. Okay.
Okay.
Missing information and message display, you can say. So for one of the point which is there in data handling, you have a scenario. Each scenario should have bare minimum of 2 test cases, either a positive test case or a negative test case. That has to be covered. Can you click on the right mark? You should have this list of acceptance criteria as a definition of done from the QA end. Okay. Currently it is open. Okay. Once you write the test cases for this scenario, first you come up with the scenarios before getting into test cases. Okay. When we showing it, demoing it, or when we are saying it to product owner or the project manager, what we have tested, what are all the test coverage we have done. If they ask the question, no need to show the test cases. No one will be bothered about reading the test cases. They will go through this acceptance criteria. Boss, you have given these kind of acceptance criteria. Based on the acceptance criteria, I have derived these number of scenarios. Each scenarios has the test cases mapped in X-ray. So this is what you have to say. So here you have a drop down. Can you click on the drop down or arrow mark next to that? Open. Yes. So once the user story, so for this definition of done, you created the test cases. Okay, it will be in progress once you start the testing.
Yeah,
Once
correct.
that
Yes.
particular scenario is been covered, regression, and it has been completely working, then you make it as done. Okay, there are chances that there are in acceptance criteria, I see a lot of bullet points, 10 to 11 bullet points, right? So all those 10 to 11 bullet points will be converted into definition of done from QA end for 15 to 20 here. And there might be a chances that only 8 would be working, another 3 would never be working, or it would have been asked to skip for the current sprint, it would have been taken for the next sprint, or it would be a blocker at that time. You have to mention other things as done and this is as skipped or in progress. This is how we track the developer perspective, that we are working, you are not working from your end. This is how we showcase. It's not we tell it in stand up or something. So here, if we prove it, then it will work. This is first thing I want you guys to carry on. Okay. And for each and every scenarios, you should be having the test cases. Okay. Can you scroll to the subtasks? Okay. Whenever you are using this user story, it is been assigned to you. When you create a subtask, make sure the subtask is assigned to you. So it is unassigned, basically. If who has done it? So the owner might be someone, and the respective test case creation would be done by Bhagyashree and it would be executed by Sharanya. So, right? So assign yourself, then you do it. That is first thing. Um, then the next thing is, when can you come to test case preparation subtask? Okay.
Acceptance criteria, we are taking up the main functionality scenarios, right?
It depends on you. It depends on how you
Okay.
get into test cases. For example, if
Uh,
I ask you, the user acceptance criteria from PO is validation of Gmail login. So acceptance criteria from QA or a checklist would be login as a user, login as multiple users, add account, sign up. There are a lot of things comes in
yeah.
scenario. It is not a test case. It is a scenario. The
Okay.
test case would
Scenario.
be login with invalid email ID, valid email ID, invalid domains, invalid password. Those are the test cases. Understood?
So we need to add the scenarios in acceptance criteria and write all the test cases in X-ray. Right. Correct.
Perfect.
I'm
Yes.
correct.
You are already doing it in X-ray, but
Mm.
when you are showcasing it, it has to be
Okay.
showcased from here. Okay.
Mhm.
When
So
all the
if
acceptance criteria from the QA end is done, then only you are marking the story as done.
okay, so if anything is pending from the development side, if the negative validation is not done, we are marking it as skipped or not
Yes,
done.
skipped, and we should be notifying in comment section.
Mm.
Tag that particular developer and say this is scenario is not working. Please make it as soon as possible so that I can close the story. Something like that.
Okay, so at that time we are not able to close that story or
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Okay. This test case preparation subtask has nothing here. So here Um, you have to mention in a comment before closing this as done. Once you complete the X-ray test cases, you attach the link of the X-ray here and say test case creation is completed. So when person sees test case preparation is completed, what is completed? People will never know what is completed. So this is very important thing which you have to take care. Um, not however, you will be attaching all the test cases in test execution part, right?
Yes, yes, we are attaching.
So here, in order to close the story, every time you close the story or when you move it to do to progress, to do to QA to review, whatever it is, you should have an comments. So review is completed, test case review is completed. I'm moving it to done, something like that. Okay,
Yeah.
done. Now, can you move to another subtask of test case execution? Sorry, please stop me if I'm going too fast. I know you
No,
guys are
it's
experienced. You would be following this. Um,
This is one of the tickets I have done, and this is the test case creation and
mhm,
attaching the test case execution like this.
perfect.
Mm,
Okay.
and
See, I want this is what I wanted. Can you scroll up? Scroll up. See, this is a test case execution you are created only for this particular. Um, you have not created for the particular story. You have created a story DAM 1386 test case execution regression
mm,
new home screen. It is not only new home screen. It is for sprint level. You have created the execution. Correct?
okay. Yeah. For that,
Right?
for this
So,
ticket.
huh. Can you click on add? Yes. Can you click on link issue? Yes. Search for Bhagyashree issue here. You can in drop down you can select test. Type test. Yes. Yes. Um,
Think this one,
yes.
right?
Select that.
Community page.
Select whatever it is. So link it. No. Here you have to link the user story itself. That a test execution task of the particular user story has to be linked. So see, this is how it should be. Definition. He has derived all the scenarios something here and make it as done. And he has two test cases created here, done. And execution is closed. Why it has been closed is one of the things is skipped. It is if it would have been done, then it would have been done. Okay. And when you navigate into test case executions should contain all the informations with respect to expected things. It has 9 test cases derived for this. Okay, 9 or 10 test cases. Okay, here each and every I know you would be when you say you click on this, it will redirect to X-ray, and in X-ray you should be attaching each and every evidences here. If you are finding
Yeah.
a defect, create a defect here and update that in link that defect in for the specific user story and attach evidences. Each and every test case should have evidences, and test case should be of this format only, feature file format. I'm not getting into that, so I'll get into that later. Okay. Um, so so this is how it should be. So every execution should have um, test execution should have the test cases something like this. Okay. And um, so it should have been linked to the actual user story. So linked user story something like this.
Okay.
You're getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
attach the screenshots here. It is old things. So he was doing it great, but attaching the screenshots in X-ray should be helpful. So it would be great if we do that. Okay.
Okay.
And there is one thing here. I think it is not been shown. One second. Um, implement test case executions. Hmm. Did you see any story of executions? Regression testing. See, every sprint should be created with regression testing, something like. But ideally, it should have regression testing, and here you should be adding the tests here. So tests from test sets, right? So you can select whatever the things here. You can, or you can add the your test execution task which you had here, right? Um, Test execution task which I showed somewhere earlier, right? So you can attach that as a tests. So when
Mhm.
PO manager whoever says what is done by QA team, so they will get into only this and it will list all the tests which has been mentioned. Whatever the
Okay.
user story assigned to bar, it will be
Mhm.
done here. And test
Okay.
cases should be of feature level, feature file level. So hope
Mhm.
this should be followed.